Good morning, Dragon Slayers. We are being joined again by my distinguished cousin, author Michael Dallin. Michael is author of The Rainbow Covenant, a wonderful book about Torah and the seven universal laws. And if you want to support this podcast, consider buying this and buy Dragon Slaying, a book to help you recover from trauma, depression, and has all sorts of little bits of wisdom in this primer. It would cost you less than a Starbucks. Okay. Well, Michael, a lot has happened since you last left. You have been on a journey to the Orient, one that I'm sure that would help us understand a little bit more about the cultures there. But while you were away, unfortunately, two noble, delightful, young Jewish people were assassinated at the Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. Uh, this was a crime of absolute stupidity and evil. The young people that died were looking at a life filled with promise. Uh, the young man was an Israeli citizen that was working in the museum. Uh, Yaron Lifshinsky and Sarah Lynn Mulligan was an American citizen that was about to depart for Israel to meet Yaron's family. And on the threshold of such happiness, their lives were taken from them cruelly. The assassin showed no mercy, and indeed, as the young woman crawled away, he poured another set of rounds into her body. If you're not outraged by this, I really can't begin to tell you how much you need to learn. I'm reminded years ago a wonderful film that was called A Time to Kill. Michael, I don't know if you saw that. It depicted a story of a young girl that was brutally raped, beaten, tortured, and tossed over a bridge and hung. And the perpetrators were caught, but the father of the young girl, believing that the perpetrators would skate at the time when the South was, I think, far less aware of issues such as they are now, went into the prison and murdered or killed the executioner of his daughter. In that trial, Matthew McConaughey, realizing that he was dealing with a very biased jury, described in detail all the horrific things that had happened to this girl and asked the jurors to close their eyes as he described the beatings, the torture, the rape, the hanging, and then tossing her into the river below. And at the conclusion of his trial summary, he said, "And now imagine that this girl were white." Well, in contemporary times, I would ask people to imagine that these two victims were black and that Rodriguez, rather than claiming that he was doing this to free Palestine, said he did it for the KKK. It's equally disgusting. As for freeing Palestine, the logic behind the murder makes absolutely no sense, because all it has done is awakened us to how we are ignoring the anti-Semitism that continues to persist on our college campuses and throughout this country. This should not be tolerated. Michael, your perspective, please.
Well, I was in the Far East for almost 4 weeks, and in the course of that journey, I was on social media and corresponding with people who are arguing that Israel's committing genocide in Gaza. The argument was, and arguing with these crying, tendentious people who are claiming that uh, this war crimes are being committed, that the Israeli Defense Forces are, wantonly slaughtering innocent civilians and to eliminate the Palestinian people. You can only come to that conclusion through the most tendentious, dishonest analysis. But we get that, and this is the call that has gone out. The Turks, the country of Turkey, with scores and scores of millions of fiercely believing Muslims, buys it. Iran buys it. The whole Arab world buys it. This gentleman, the murderer, um, was a convert, a Gentile convert to Islam, and he accepted it, and um, and he answered the call to jihad, the call to extraordinary spiritual and moral sacrifice to the cause of uh, glorifying Allah and glorifying the religion of Muhammad. And the religion of Muhammad calls on its followers to make these ultimate sacrifices. That, you know, actually the only way to really expiate your sins in Islam is not to live a decent, normal, productive life, but to murder the enemies, the perceived enemies of Islam, which he did. And I mean, he pumped those bullets into that poor girl, and he did it with great self satisfaction, I'm sure, and and knowledge of exactly what he was doing to punish the enemies of Allah, and that's the enemy. That's the Jews have always been blessed or cursed with the most god awful enemies in human history. The cruelest, the most extreme, the most take no prisoners, awful, uh, from the Spanish Inquisition to the cruelty of the Roman crucifiers, um, the Black Hundreds, the Cossacks, the Nazis, the communists at their worst. Um, and we're still fighting this war, this existential war against the forces of savagery, and that's the Torah bargain. That's what we're on earth to do. We, the Jews, have to deal with this, and we have these fierce enemies, and we're going to have these fierce enemies until kingdom come, basically, um, until the world comes to the realization that the God of Israel is God, and um, and that the way of Israel is a way for all mankind to come to fulfillment. And until then, we're going to be fighting, and we're going to be wrestling with these you call them demonic forces, but they're very human forces. They're religion gone wrong, religion gone putrid, different ultimate beliefs from communism to the beliefs of the Inquisition to uh, to the Nazis to one goddamn movement after another that comes for the Jews to exterminate the Jews and to kill the innocents. The hallmark of these enemies of the Jews is that it prefers to kill the innocents. It from the time we left Egypt, um, literally, they they have been coming for the old, the infirm, the pregnant, the women with children, the civilians, not the warriors. They try to avoid the warriors because you get in trouble when you attack warriors. But they come after the civilians, the people who are going about their business innocently, who are not prepared for war, who are minding their own business. Um, and that's who they prefer to kill. They prefer to kill the babies generally, and we've seen the Arabs shouting. I mean, these are normally decent people who, in other contexts, would be horrified by what they or their co-religionists have done. But when it comes to fighting the Jews, the rules change, and they want to kill the babies, kill the children, kill the mothers, um, and this is it's predicted. It's part of Torah that we will deal with this. It's
Michael, let me interrupt for a moment. What you and I, when we attended religious school and were trained in the Jewish faith, frequently heard the term the chosen people. What were we chosen for?
for a mission. That's it. Which we are, I believe, you and I, cousin, are trying to fulfill now, which is to bring mankind under the wings of the Shekhinah, of the divine presence, to make people, human beings, more aware of the reality and the nature of the God of Abraham, the creator of the universe. Um, those are our marching orders. There's just no question about that. But it's not a call to privilege. It is a call to mission, to sacrifice, to being the punching bag of these awful enemies of truth and justice. Um, I mean, the way of Israel underlies almost everything that's good in the world: the rule of law, the American way, um, the founders' beliefs in um, that we are born for the pursuit of happiness, that we are created equal. Um, there are very antagonistic forces arrayed against the principles that underlie the American Revolution, the American experiment, and the way of the Jews, the way of Abraham. I mean, it's just amazing. You wouldn't think that serious people would be of a mind to try to erase the rule of law, but the fascists, despots, authoritarians, and religious fanatics of various kinds do. They deplore democracy. They deplore the rule of law, and we are here to help guide the world to the next stage of human history, and get us through this stage without falling into tyranny. And that's the mission. But it's a call to sacrifice. Chosen, chosen for sacrifice, chosen for a mission.
Those of you in the audience, I'd like to remind you again of what I said earlier. Imagine that these children that were murdered, assassinated, were your children. And imagine how enraged you would be had this occurred, this unnecessary evil. I recall when I was just finished training, I had the good fortune of being selected by the Peace Corps to run a maternal child health project in an African country, Niger. And the irony of that time was that that country had chosen this Israeli army to train their army. And so there was a substantial contingent of Israeli army technical counselors in Niger at the time, and I befriended them. In fact, they didn't have a physician, so I was the doctor for the Israeli army. And I cannot recall a fiercer group of guys that I've ever met in my life. These are true warriors. They were committed warriors. They lived with passion. Uh, and if you met these men and understand the culture, the crucible from which they emerged, you can understand how Israel will survive. They have that tenacity. They are going to survive. And all of these tragedies that have occurred over the past 2 years is absurd. We need to accept it and figure out how we are going to live together. And apparently, virtually every effort in the past that Israel has made to accommodate to Palestinian demands has proven futile as Palestine has been captured by a jihadist culture. It's hard to negotiate with people that want to destroy you. That life mission is to destroy you.
Well, the whole point of Palestinianism is to eradicate Israel. It doesn't have anything to do with the welfare or the good of the quote, the Palestinian people, who are, these are these very widely disparate people who've come to the land of Israel over mostly within the last 120 years. Supposedly they've been living there from time immemorial. People make arguments that they're the original Canaanites, the original people that replaced, supplanted by Joshua, or that they are the original Philistines, the horrible uh, sea people who were supplanted by David and then by the Maccabees and the Syrian Greeks. But there's no connection. There's just they were different Arab peoples. Arab means, the word Arab comes from a root meaning vagabond. um, they're wandering peoples who came to the land of Israel mostly in modern times, and they have been given the destiny uh, by the Arab League and organized Arab wealth to supplant the Jewish people, to eradicate, to annihilate the people of Israel, not for their good. It's a horrible destiny. Hey, you will go against the eternal people, and you will die if need be in the attempt of annihilating the eternal people, the Jews. Good luck to you, and we're going to arm you, and we're going to feed you, and we're going to encourage your high birth rates. Um, it is a plot. It's a dastardly fraud on the world, and it's time, I think, that we get around to realizing that Palestinianism and Palestinian liberation doesn't mean doing well by a certain population. It means annihilating the people of Israel, getting the Jews out, even to the extent of irradiating the land of Israel and making it impossible for any life to be there. And we saw that with Saddam Hussein shooting rockets at Israel, and uh, the, the people, the Palestinians, so called, came out and cheered from their rooftops, even though they expected that the missiles that were coming in were loaded with poison gas or nuclear uh, savagery that would eliminate them too. That their hatred was so great. Their mission, as they had accepted it, to annihilate the Jewish people, was so compelling that there they were cheering as they thought they themselves were going to be eliminated. So this is a sick thing in the world, and it's time to call it out. But I'm here after coming back from the Far East, and I people were asking me, they see my yarmulke, and what's that? And I go, I'm Jewish. And they go, huh? What the hell is that? They've never heard of this. And I go, well, I'm Hebrew. Oh, Hebrew. Oh, yeah, okay. And they've heard something about that. They've heard of the Bible and such things. But we're not getting our story out though, Tom. I mean, we're China is
Michael, I cannot imagine a more effective marketer for the Jewish faith than you. So,
oh no, I'm no marketer, but I can talk and yeah, we were singing karaoke in Bhutan, and I was trying to channel Mick Jagger. So I don't know what a great marketer I am. It was interesting.
which song did you choose to sing?
Satisfaction.
So, did people join?
I can't yet.
Did some people join you in that?
Oh, no, they sang along. No, it was great. We sang the Bhutanese songs, which were these mild, oh, Jack and Jill go up the hill, these sweet, sweet songs. And we're singing songs about from the Dixie Chicks and others about killing your spouse and all these bloody minded songs. Like these gentle Buddhist people and there we are belting out. There I am belting out Jagger. There's a different quality, but I came away from this with, um, you're in the land of Hinduism and Buddhism, and you find that there is this combination of Buddha. The people who are Buddhists are actually Hindu. The Hindus are actually kind of Buddhist. Um, but they are developing people who are fated to go on to be Sherpas and sex workers, and they deserve a better fate. They have a worldview that is in many ways disqualifying from worldly success, and it's heartbreaking. It's just so sorry. It's so sad to see. Um, they're fascinated with the metaphors of Hinduism and Buddhism, and it detracts from coming to the ultimate, coming to the truth about creation. I have the sense, I do believe that with progress, with the work of the Hubble Space Telescope and the Webb telescope, that is showing creation as this infinite space of billions and billions of galaxies, uh, that we can get it into our heads that the creator and ruler of this is of this unimaginable expanse, of this incredible, unbelievable vastness, is himself unimaginable, is a being, unless you believe that all of creation is just an accident. There must be a creator, there must be a ruler, um, and would that being be someone who is a dead Jewish guy from Roman times, or a Buddha, or or one of these fantastic elephant-headed Hindu gods or goddesses, or indeed, as the Jews have said, utterly unimaginable, and a being beyond human ken. The Jews, the Torah, it's the one religion where God is not made in the human image. Every other human religion makes God in its image, in the image of man, except for Judaism, and it's been consistent in this from the beginning. Um, and this is I think, and the Torah promises this is and will be the way of all mankind to come to this acknowledgement and appreciation and of the one God, the God of Abraham, and that the rest of humanity will run with this, and it will elevate us and bring us to a golden time when kids are not murdered by freaks and angry Muslims, self-satisfied Muslims. That Rodriguez, the guy who did this, will be in prison, and he will be telling himself as he winds through his boring, awful, solitary days, that at least he managed to kill those Jews. That's going to be a satisfying thing for him. Um, it, and if he were released today, God forbid, if he were released today, he would be celebrated in the world of Islam, from Malaysia to Indonesia to Pakistan to Turkey, throughout the Arab world. He would be a celebrated man. They would carry him on their shoulders. It's the same with Sirhan Sirhan. Do you remember when Bobby Kennedy was killed? Horrible murder by a jerk. But he was mad at Bobby because he thought Bobby was um, too pro-Israel, so he slaughtered him. He killed him, and with it the hopes and dreams of a whole generation. I can't think about it without crying. If Sirhan Sirhan were released today, God forbid, he would be celebrated across the Muslim and Arab world because he killed an enemy of supposedly the Palestinians. He spoke up for Islam. He did jihad, and this is, I mean, this is like Nazism, um, except after this there'll be something after this, I expect. The Nazis were not the end of the anti-Jewish forces on Earth, nor were the Black Hundreds, nor was the Spanish Inquisition or the Inquisition, um, nor were the Cossacks. Um, it's, it, I mean, we've got these promises in the Torah that's going to keep on like this until we achieve something, until God's name is one. That is to say, that the world appreciates that the conception of deity, of the ultimate, is true in Torah. So, but until then, we're going to have war. And
So you had mentioned something off camera, I believe, that you were in dialogue with people from Korea. And you had said Koreans now are studying the Talmud.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. The Koreans don't want to be left behind. Korea is a very serious country. I was only there in transit. I came from. I'd wrapped up my trip. I was coming from Bangkok, from Thailand to Korea, and there I am in Incheon. Just outside Seoul, and you know, wonderful airport. I mean, Korea has come a long, long, long way uh, in the last few generations, and they they have a wonderful bookstore in that airport. The only thing is, almost all the books are in Korean because the Koreans read, bless their hearts, and but there were some English language books, thank God, and yeah, and the fact is that the Koreans, since at least the last 12 years or so, have been taking their kids and training them in aspects of Torah. They have them reading or studying the Talmud. I don't know how big a deal it is, but they are doing it, and they're looking to the Jews for our secrets, because they've seen the statistics of the preposterous Jewish preponderance in Nobel Prize winners and you know, leaders in different professions, um, and they want a piece of that action. And in power to them, you know. I was very negatively impressed with Buddhism and Hinduism and what they do. I ran across in Bhutan. I remember this one wonderful guy was trying to explain that um, you know, these people go into these Buddhist and Hindu temples and they make obeisance. You know, they respect the ultimate as men of conscience, you know, as people of conscience should. You respect the ultimate. You respect the ultimate powers that run the universe. Um, but I think they're tired of the metaphors that actually distract them from the reality of the ultimate and sends them in the wrong direction. And I'm hearing from folks who say, I believe in karma. Well, so do we. We believe in karma. It's a teaching that, you know, that the justice is rewarded and evil punished. Um, and I believe in God, and their conception of God is whatever it is. Uh, but so long as their gods are God, is the concept is cloaked in idolatrous uh, imagery and horrible stories of monsters um, and false values, where there's a problem. And what I came away from was I was thinking that these folks, these millions and millions and millions, hundreds of millions of good people who want truth, uh, really deserve better than to be mere Sherpas, you know, like pack animals practically, laborers and sex workers. Um, they're worth more. They can do more. Um, the truth will set them free. And it's up to us to. I was talking to the lady who runs the Chabad, a Jewish sect, has an outreach center in Bangkok, where all these Israelis they finished their service. Some of your guys from Niger might have fetched up there, as you know, they finished their service and they're traveling the world because they want to see the world because they're Jews, and that's what we want to do. We want to see how things are. Um, and they had a Shabbos dinner for 300 people. You know, it was something. All these young Israelis there and singing songs. Bangkok, Bangkok, downtown Bangkok.
Now, how did you happen to hit upon this?
Well, Chabad is everywhere. I would have gone to the one in Kathmandu. There's another one, a smaller one in Kathmandu, but a Norwegian jerk had attacked it. That shot before that Shabbos, I couldn't make it because they were closed because they'd been attacked by basically, you know, a Norwegian Nazi.
So you went out seeking a synagogue and you found one.
I wanted to celebrate Shabbos, and and I also wanted some kosher meat for a change, which I for 3 weeks I didn't have any. You know, I mean, I'm not that carnivorous, but you like meat and you want kosher meat, and they served it up in Bangkok, to 300 people.
Wow.
And I was talking to, which is a big operation. Um, you know, it's tragic that the the forces of evil, you know, had attacked the Chabad in Kathmandu, um, but and they had another level of security. They had to have security in Bangkok, but the Rebbitzin, the lady rabbi there, the wife of the rabbi. was telling me about their operation, and and she was saying she'd had Thai. She remembers this one Thai lady who came and was handing out cards illustrating the Sheva Mitzvos B'nai Noach, what my book is about, the seven universal laws uh, that apply to the Torah says apply to all mankind. So she was trying to. This Thai lady was trying to proselytize the Thai people into um, um, come under the wings of the Shekhinah, to come to the God of Abraham. In other words, not in an effective way. I mean, we don't really have an effective outreach program, and that's a fact. I mean, I wish we did. My book is an attempt, but we, the collective Jewish people, should be able to do a lot better. Um, I'm supposed to work on this with someone else, a lady who converted to Judaism some 30 years ago, and she's dying to reach out to do a Middle East mission, or Far East mission, to try to bring the people of the Confucian and Hindu and Buddhist countries under the wings of the Shekhinah, to introduce them to the God of Abraham. So we'll see how we can do. Um, but it would be to their benefit. But it's fascinating to me, and I think you're interested too, in the idea that the Koreans are already working on this themselves, because they don't want to be a nation of Sherpas or sex workers. They want to do great things. And how do you do great things? Well, you have to look at the example of the Jews. Or I was just in China, which is an amazing, huge, terrific place where even everything is under surveillance. You know, I mislaid my phone, and there's no problem. We'll find it through the surveillance cameras. Which if I had left a paper clip behind, we would have found it through the surveillance cameras of China, and they suppressed the internet. But they're doing great things.
But you found your phone.
No problem. Right. Nope. Yeah, no problem. In China, you don't lose stuff, most likely, because there are cameras on it. Um, but they have two big philosophers that they operate under. And one, of course, is Karl Marx, the Chinese Communist Party, a Jewish guy, and, a rabbi's grandson. And the other is Alvin Toffler. Do you remember Alvin Toffler?
Yeah, the futurist.
Tommy Future Shot.
Yeah, right, the futurist. Right.
Yeah, yeah, the futurist. Yeah, with his wife, Gentile wife. I've never said that the Jewish, movement is restricted to Jews. It's not. But he and his wife have given China their marching orders. They took Future Shock and his other books very, very seriously, and they've used them to predict the future and to build up the internet and do what they're doing. So I found that.
So if you add Abraham Maslow, you've got a troika.
Right, yeah, you got, there you go. I never held by Maslow, but if I know, you psychologists are fascinated with him. Um, but yeah, they're learning from. That's the point of the Jews on Earth, to help. You asked, what's the mission? What are we chosen for? And to produce the Marxes, to produce the Alvin Tofflers, to help raise people up, to come up with good ideas, um, to earn the Nobel Prizes that allow us to think about things differently, and to seek justice, and ultimately to lead to um, our understanding of ultimate reality, which is better than Buddhism and better than Hinduism, and even better than, if dare I say it, even better than Marx and Toffler. We could do better than Marx and Toffler.
The books that you wanted to feature on your bookshelf, I'm intrigued with Restoring Abrahamic Faith.
This is by a very good friend of mine, and I read it years ago, um, and Jim did not actually put my book in his bibliography. He said it was an oversight. But I'm going to read the reviews of his book, and mine is the first review.
Mm-hmm.
May I read it?
Of course.
Sure.
Okay.
It's Michael Dallin, First Covenant Foundation. This terrific little book is a must read. We love this book because it takes the Bible completely seriously, explores it fearlessly, following the text itself and other sources, and explains things, including, e.g., the nature and early history of Christianity, but also many aspects of the Torah tradition itself, directly, simply, and rigorously honestly. This is an open-hearted, large-souled book, very American in its way, and its trust in the power of logic, truth, and the black-letter scripture itself to create change, which convincingly explains why the whole human race needs to rethink the Bible and rediscover the ancient faith of Abraham. So I'm doing my duty to this book, which is really a marvelous little thing. Um, and my friend James G. Tabor, he's a retired professor, Christian Origins at North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
And then I have another book by the late great Walter Lippmann.
Of course.
Well, he's a man of the past. This is a 1929 book. Let's see if I can get it here. And I've read the beginning. One of John Dewey reviews it. Edmund Wilson, a legendary reviewer, calls it far and away Walter Lippmann's best book, outspoken and persuasive. And he's talking about the moral basis of the religious basis of morals. And he's saying that the old ways of believing in a God, believing in any structure of a theocratic structure, it's passe. He's saying it just won't work. It just doesn't work anymore. The forces of modernity, the assaults on regular on not just the Abrahamic but all faiths have been so destructive that we can't go there anymore. That we have to have a humanistic basis for our morals. And all the while I'm reading this and thinking, well, no, I haven't lost my belief in God. It sounds so corny and old-fashioned, but we're still believing in Abrahamic faith, and his, I'm hoping to steal, as every good author should. We always are interested in stealing. I'm hoping to take some of his words about um, the structure that we want from our morality, the basis in eternity, and in something that we know is correct, as the bulwark of our morality, um, and take it forward. This is a brilliant, secularly raised Jewish guy. He was exposed to many of the same forces that you were: Reform, Judaism. Given this superb education of the elite Jews in New York City, and and he came away a stone atheist, but a highly moral wonderful man, a brilliant man. Um, but in but the thing is that the God that he has determined is dead is not. You know that the God of Israel is still running the world. Um, so I just found it fascinating. I mean, he just has this wonderful vocabulary, and like I said, you know, I can steal from it. So that's that's what I wanted to say about that.
Fair enough. Well, Michael, thank you again for your wisdom. I hope we'll have an opportunity soon to hear more. Uh, the world evolves, and having known you for a while, I suspect that you will have a lot of commentary to offer about how the world is evolving. Uh, and I wish you well until we.
I hope you get your breathing fixed. I picked up.
I'm gonna swim. I'm gonna swim in a few minutes. So once I swim,
Oh dear. Okay, I hope it goes well. I picked up what we called the cold in I think it was in China, and I've had it ever since. So I hope this is not that kind of chronic pain in the neck.
my virus is so tough that it kills other viruses.
Well, that's terrific. I know you're a tough guy, cousin. So all right, heat it up.
Okay, well, for our audience, thank you for watching us, being with us, and I hope we've provoked some thinking and perhaps some further discussions that you may share with your friends. Until next week, uh, Michael and Tom
Namaste.
wish you well.
Namaste.